Hello, hello, hello.
Hey everybody, who do we have first? I think we have Jen and the Birds. Hello, hello. Miss KK, good to see you. And there's our good old Renee. Good to see you. Thanks for coming, you guys.
You know, Renee, I saw a photo of you and a motorcycle, and wow,
Wow.
what can I say? I'm jealous of the bike. It was a beautiful choice.
It was a beautiful picture, Renee. We want more.
Yeah, absolutely. The body is the container for the soul. That is, I do think that's pretty accurate. That we are, again, souls. We are all eternal beings having a wild experience here on planet Earth at the turn of a yuga.
Yes, good to see you, Miss Viola, Israel. Hello, hello, you guys. Thanks for coming in. Sin Havoc, great to see you. Feel free. The Marsh 429. Hey, it's been a while. Yeah, it's going to be a good one tonight, you guys.
Will the real Pompey please stand up? Yeah, exactly. Here we are, cast of characters going through another round on planet Earth, or maybe we should say realm Earth, Loka Earth, Loka.
Loca? Loca? You remember what loca means?
It means crazy in Spanish, and
Ah!
it's easy. Isn't it interesting? Loka in Spanish is crazy, but Loka with a K in Sanskrit means worlds, crazy world.
I like it. Loca, loca.
Yeah. Absolutely. Loka samasta suki no bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. And may all of our words, acts, thoughts, and deeds contribute to that. See Christine Love in the house.
Yes, I'm sorry. I had to stop Mike to say hi to Christine. Hello, Christine.
So we did have fighter jets scramble over Washington, D.C. Residents heard a sonic boom. F-16s took to the air to make an intercept over D.C. about 11:15 a.m. today. Civilian aircraft violated restricted area. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Again, there's been just so many incidents with planes in one way, shape, or another. This is something that, well, it'll get the military going if you go over an area that's been cordoned off. Then you're going to get buzzed, maybe worse. But yeah, NORAD F-16 fighter aircraft from the continental U.S. NORAD region safely intercepted a general aviation aircraft that violated FAA restricted airspace over the United States National Capital Region and escorted it clear of the area without further incident. It's you get the picture. I get the picture of like an old guy up there, still flying, pointing out to his wife, "Hey Edith, look, that tall thing. That's the Washington Monument. Oh, that's the White House." And next thing you know, you're getting buzzed.
I know. I mean, well, goodness sake, I'm surprised that they escorted anyone off anything the way that they just allow these drones to kind of. It seems like the drones can fly wherever they want, and and these people shrug their shoulders and say, well, we're just not sure where they're from or what they're doing here, or we're not sure, so we're not going to shoot them down yet. This old poor guy who's given his wife, just a look-see around everywhere. They harass him, and they know who he is, and he's probably just some nice little old man.
And there's probably some extraterrestrials doing just that too.
Right, indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sin Havoc in the house. Got to ask, are you an EVH fan? Just making note of that number, 5150. So, of course, things are still tense. We still have the wars ongoing, and we have so many revelations and things popping up to the surface all over the place. All over the place. Yeah, so we know there's a lot of tick problems in the U.S., right? Lyme disease, Lyme, Connecticut, Plum Island. We've talked about that. So many people have talked about it at length. You go back to Morgullons with things emerging from people's bodies after tick bites. Strange objects emerging from people's bodies after tick bites. Did you realize, though, this right here is saying the WEFers are dropping ticks on Australian, Russian, and American farms? Yeah, isn't that curious? So you see all these little things up in the sky. Boxes dropping? Loaded with ticks? Or are the little guys just parachuting out? I hadn't heard I never heard about any problems with ticks in Russia, but I did a little digging. Russia's got a lot of tick problems. This is also talking about how cows are dying in mass after they were given that stuff to stop them from farting. Well, nature wants you to fart, then you just fart. You just say, excuse me.
I would say so. It shouldn't be such a big deal. And, if you think about it, would you rather spend the night in a garage with a running car or a cow? What's worse?
Well, yeah, you might not make it through the night with the car running. Yeah, interesting stuff. Russia and Australia, in fact, even Kenya. Yeah, Kenya. But anyway, alpha-gal syndrome is ravaging the U.S. A tick bite can make you intolerant to meat. The World Forum said, if humans don't decide to stop eating meat, we can generate for them with genetic engineering an intolerance so that your body rejects certain types of bovine proteins. Now, we showed that clip like 2 or 3 lives ago, probably shown it half a dozen times. But it's just that there's been multiple times they've mentioned this. In fact, man, there's clips on everything that, has been rumored is quote unquote conspiracy theory. That's only a theory until it's completely proven a fact, which has happened time and time again, but then they still deny things even though they've been proven. And, again, we get the bigger picture, right? So, well-documented, massive increase in ticks. This year is just through the roof. And it is especially hitting hard, too, for livestock owners. Keep in mind that a cure, is now actively in development, for Lyme problem. Without the ticks, you got to have a vector, right? The tick is a vector. You have a means to deliver something in order to then deliver something else. This is just what's going on. But people are catching on in droves, and we had to go do some errands, and we took 2 ticks off of Cindy just running errands. They were literally, did we take 3 ticks off of you today? 2 or 3? 2. Oh, yeah, 1 off me, which itches like hell. Yeah.
Blistered and bubbled up.
Yeah, and then blistered and bubbled up after taking the tick off. I mean, I've been bitten tons of times and dozens of times just this last year. It's increased, and yet when I showed you guys the map, we're in one of the states with the lowest incidence. They have them in Arizona. How can people be getting infested with ticks out in the desert in Arizona?
So Jen and the Birds is saying, do you think it could affect animals because some dogs are allergic to beef? I'm wondering why. Well, yes. For sure, but normally dogs are allergic to chicken because chicken's so has the Jabberwockies in them, and they're just full of it. So usually dogs have a lot of trouble with chicken, and you should, if you can, go organic any and all the time. But absolutely, I think our animals, they're no different than us. They're gonna have some grief, and I think Mike lost a dog from Lyme when he was diagnosed with Lyme. His dog passed.
Yeah, and it was a strong, healthy pit bull. I mean, it was only like 4 years old, and it passed. A lot of people are calling this person a demon, because it's everywhere that person goes, it just seems like all sorts of troubles follow. You know, it's going to get to that point. We had seen that these people that we talk about all the time, those L-lights in particular, people like that Gill guy, starting in 2025, they were going to have a hard time being out in public without getting a lot of people yelling at them about things, and that has manifested, but they're still there. As you see, this person, a doctor from Long Island, Gil Bates and his globalist puppet masters belong in prison yesterday. Nearly 500,000 Americans are now allergic to meat after one bite, and yet the CDC's only found 110,000 cases. Well, yeah, because, again, we understand the real purpose of the Centers for Disease Control. It's not about eradicating diseases. Why not Centers for Disease Eradication, right? No, it's just about controlling, because diseases are useful.
They're very useful. They're a useful tool.
Yeah. This is, again, we're watching the same old stuff that's gone down time and time and time again in the past. And even 100 years ago, 120, 130 years ago, when there were certain, I used to use the term dates for men, right? Man, date. Yeah, that were given out, things we were really strongly, firmly nudged, to say the least, to do. Well, the same things were happening back in the 1880s, the 1890s, and early 1900s. And even back then, there were people that recognized that they didn't believe the science back then. This is why, again, you have everything going on with what we would call Rockefeller medicine. Because they took over the schools. They closed down the schools that were teaching things like, naturopathy and herbology. Yeah, did you know that these evil serpents in 1913, they bought every herbal homeopathic school in America and then closed them all by 1925. They took 12 years and they closed them one after another, after another, after another. 1913. Yeah. Again, think about this time period when we had the sinking of the Titanic, when we had the Federal Reserve going into effect. The whole Federal Reserve thing, the IRS coming in. All this was happening at one fell swoop. This was a massive takeover.
Yeah, it was pretty nasty. So if you can find books that are very, very early health books that are very early 1900s, they're very useful, and usually they're full of parasite cleanse protocols, because that's what everything was about. Unfortunately, so many of the books that we have now, when it comes to natural healing, they're not accurate. They're just not accurate, and it's very difficult to find the truth. But it's the parasite cleanses. And it's just something that doctors, I don't feel regular mainstream doctors are not comfortable talking about. You tell your doctor, gosh, I think I have a parasite problem, doc. They're probably going to look at you a little bit funny, like you have 2 or 3 heads, and, they're just there to cover up the symptoms. And that's not going to help. That's like stepping on dog poop, and instead of cleaning off your shoe, you just keep walking on in your house, and it stinks up the whole house. If you just put a Band-Aid on your problem that you have and cover up a symptom, well, the whole body's still going crazy. So that Band-Aid could be causing you a lot more problems, and that's why we end up with more. When we have to do a prescription, we end up with more things wrong with us, because we're not solving the issue. Now, I'm not saying not to take them, because sometimes people need help, absolutely, but we always want to be digging for that root cause. There's always a root cause. There's always some imbalance, energetic imbalance. There's some kind of imbalance.
And parasites. There's always parasites. Again, Parasites run this world. Parasites took over a lot in 1913. This is really the ultimate reality. The whole banking system is parasitic. The CDC, the FDA, it just goes on and on. This is one big program that has led to, basically we pay more than ever for everything and we get nothing in return. It's the reality of the system. The system is a parasitic system. And, this is again linking parasites to tumors and, the big C. People know this. I mean, you look at all this. Tons of people know. This is Dr. Dawn Michael. J.D. Rockefeller bought out all the major universities, basically created his own curriculum for medicine, especially because, being in the oil business, they needed something to, make profits off of the excess byproducts of that industry. Standard Oil controlled 90% of the U.S. oil market. So they did the same thing with medicine, and when you look at this, it's really only a few families. And it's even interesting, too, that when you look back, it seems like they've controlled this ever since this period of time. At least we could name these family names to a reset that people think happened somewhere around the time we're talking about maps being changed and like the landmass in the Arctic all of a sudden disappearing. Again, the foundation of the Illuminati, 1700-ish to 1800. Some people say 1776 was not really an American revolution. It was a takeover by, again, the system. And, it's all being exposed right now. It's really being exposed. There's not much that they can do about this to slow the roll. It's kind of like a double-edged sword when you think about that. Yeah, the technology is what they're trying to entrap us in. Now, this is a clip from a video that it feels very AI. Again, these AI videos, this was going to be what I was going to do an early video on, and I was like, no, you're going to sound too irritated if we start pointing out the fact that they could have channels that literally, they're AI channels. They've only been in existence for 2 months, 4 months, and they're getting 250,000 views. It's like AI is biased to push AI, and it's trying to get rid of humans. This is really what it feels like to more and more people now.
It is. It's just doesn't seem quite right at all.
No, it's getting very obvious. Very, very obvious. Digital IDs, newborn babies, Kenya. Yeah. Who is this guy? He's not even an MD. He's not even an MD. And I personally, I don't put a lot of trust in any MDs besides the ones that I know that are very well-rounded and look to alternative stuff too. So, I mean, we have our Karma Doc who we love, and we want to send out, prayers for her and to keep her beautiful farm blessed and keep her protected because she's stuck her neck out so many times time and time again. And, the system doesn't like that.
No, they don't. So we need to protect those who are helping as many as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I got so many itchy spots right now from where we've pulled them off. Oh man, this is interesting because I was doing a little research, and this particular article, this is from ResearchGate.net. It's talking again about pathogens in Kenya and tick-borne pathogens. So Africa, and then over here, Russia. This is a problem everywhere. I didn't realize that this was really being done like everywhere. I think maybe a lot of areas don't really check. Maybe they come up with different, diagnoses that maybe they don't look at tick-borne, problems, pathogens as much because it hasn't been a problem in the past. But as we know, once those little guys get up in planes, they could drop anywhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, they can just go anywhere, and they're spreading too, all over.
They are spreading. So we've been talking about the fact that it seems that there is this another lockdown type of thing that feels like it's trying to be built into a real serious plague upon the land that's building. They were looking at hantavirus. We were looking at Ebola. I mean, we've had bird flu out there. We've had so many different things. Obviously, COVID. How about, again, we got alpha-gal, we have babesia, we have borrelia. Obviously, there's all sorts of different infections being done through ticks. Could the next big one literally be an accumulation of more than one thing from more than one pathogen? We were talking about that Gil Bates guy. Why does he have mosquito factories on multiple continents? Literally, why in the world would you make mosquitoes? And then why in the world would you do gain of function experiments? So is it like a layering effect that's going to bring about like a total system failure, if you know what I mean? And some people who their immune systems might not be operating, really top notch. And unfortunately in this world, it's challenging to have your immune system operating, at its prime.
Oh, I know. It's really, really rough these days just to have everything functional, because just you go outside and take a couple gulps of air, it's toxic.
Yeah. It's like how has like him and Fauci, the whole cast of characters, how in the world are they still just on their private jets? There's only really one thing that makes sense, and that's that they are somehow protected to the highest degree, where they are literally above the law. That those that are in charge of executing the law, which is usually police, obviously, can be military as well, they don't have the power to actually go after certain people. How could that be if this power structure that we see is actually legitimate? It couldn't be.
I agree.
So, obviously the power structure is not what it's made out to be, which then verifies those people that talk about a deep state. How deep is the deep state? That's the question. Is it just a council of 300, like it? That one book. I think that was John Coleman. We have that book. Is it, again, 13 Illuminati families? Is it the Black Pope and these other entities? Is it all George S? And I think that the real deep state is much deeper than those that we know of.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's way deep.
So Georgia Power trying to push another family off their farm via eminent domain for a data center. I'm fighting for the survival of my cattle farm. I'm here because a massive data center was approved just a couple miles from my land. I'm being hounded by Georgia Power for an easement to build transmission lines through my property for the data center. I'm a local farmer. I'm not an industrial developer. These 500 kilovolt lines aren't for me. They're for the data centers that the boards in surrounding counties continue to approve, even though people are saying no. And then how could are they not a private company? Why should a private company like Georgia Power, well, I guess, is it private? I mean, who actually owns Georgia Power? Is it a co-op where every single citizen owns it? If that's the case, then have the citizens vote, right? This is the thing. It's the semblance of us having any sort of real say in things is disappearing really quick.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've just tanked it.
Yeah, you know, it's our impact, community, news hub, company news, you know, so yeah, who owns Georgia Power? We'll look into that one a little bit more. But ultimately, what you see is it always goes back to the same bigger groups again, time and time again. So it's just sad. This project impacts more than 330 private properties. Look at that. Number 33 sticking out right there again. Yeah, you know, I think it's in the area it's in because that area is a great area for farming, and there are a lot of farms. And it's the same thing in Louisiana with the one that went up to the east of Monroe, actually an area with a lot of sacred sites as well. You know, not too far from Poverty Point, which we did a video of sharing with you guys. So, you know, here they go, just good, solid, average people not being able to just have peace. And now we're going to get, again, more disruption to, obviously, the environment and our lives.
Well, I don't know if they own, but some of the major companies involved around what's going on, of course, are QTS, Microsoft, Prologis, and Blackstone.
Yeah, Blackstone, BlackRock. Yeah, there is a relation there too between BlackRock, Blackstone, and obviously Microsoft goes back to the Gil Bates guy, right? Wasn't he like one of the founders? The only thing growing faster than artificial intelligence industry is the negative feelings about it by the average people. Yeah, and this was from the Wall Street Journal, just saying there are more people that sense there's something really wrong here, and they're not for the way this is being steamrolled right through us. So, you know, this is great. People are waking up. They're waking up in droves. I've seen it locally, and everybody I talk to out there, which, you know, isn't a lot of people locally, these are simple country folk where we are. They understand. They really get it. So I'm not sure, you know, what communities you would find people that don't get it. Unless they're directly, you know, somehow depending on their paycheck.
It says it's publicly traded corporation.
It's a corporation. Okay. It's owned by Southern Company, publicly traded corporation, headquartered in Atlanta. Southern Company owns Georgia Power outright as a subsidiary, and that's owned by shareholders, investors through the stock market. Yeah, we do that. Do know that?
It's just a mess.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into it a little bit more.
Chris Womack.
Chris Womack. That sounds familiar. I've heard of him popping up before.
Yeah,
so, British farmer here claims to be the recipient of an official document. Let's listen to what he's got to say here.
This is serious now, guys. I'm in receipt of a document which states that by 2030 there is to be a 50% reduction in farmed animals, and by 2050 100% zero farm animal system in place. And guess who has signed up to that? Yes, the two biggest arseholes in the world, Starmer and Bill Gates. What more proof do I want? And I got it in writing. So it looks like their little world takeover is coming along nicely for them, but unfortunately we've now got the document. So over to us now, guys. At World War IV commence. We don't need to be at war with Russia. We're going to create our internal one. Keep Britain farming, folks. Ta-ra for this.
Yeah, you know, this is worldwide. Everybody's getting together. And you recognize in these circles, you know, when everybody was mask on and told to social distance, they didn't. And there's even videos that have caught them masking, you know, and covering up just for the camera and then uncovering. Because, you know, again, we all know. We all get it. And these people are so connected to the E guy. Nobody's talking about E anymore. There's no talk about the E island and all that. That really has kind of just disappeared from people's minds.
Well, I think we should probably be looking at the stuff that they want to bury, and this seems to be buried, right?
Well, yeah. Yes, and I agree. Starmer is a wanker. I don't really know what a wanker is, but I definitely think he feels like a wanker. Musical bard. Love the way the British speak. And then, again, you got to keep track of that. British. Now, Britain's different than the UK, which is different than England exactly. I know it depends on what we're looking at as far as the bigger whole. Hopefully someday we'll get over there. It'd be fun to go visit and see these places. I would love to. I didn't verify this, but Mike Pence, supposedly somebody was found dead at his house. Somebody that may work in the oldest profession in the world, and that may also be male. That's the rumors out there, early 20s. This just hit me. Why do I feel like a connection with the chef and the Obamas? But it wasn't just the chef. Did you guys see? There was another one connected to the Obamas that I think it was a maid or something, if I'm remembering right, recently that, seems to have vanished inexplicably. Think about that with the Clintons. How many people have gone missing all those years around the Clinton family? Or they just decided to, shoot themselves in the head and stuff like that 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, very interesting.
Again, everything is coming out. So, law enforcement reportedly responded to the Indiana home of former VP Mike Pence. This afternoon, 911 call was placed to summon help for an unconscious man who was not breathing. Upon arrival, police and paramedics discovered the man was deceased in a bedroom at the Pence home. Identified the individual as a male in his early 20s. They didn't give the name. So anyway, Pence and his wife Karen were allegedly home at the time of the incident. Rumors began to circulate about what we talked about, but nothing's verified yet. So it's just one of those things. There's a lot of those things around certain people, that's for sure. You remember, maybe you didn't see it, but anyway, Trump and the IRS came to an agreement, and it turns out the U.S. Justice Department forever bars the IRS from auditing Trump's past tax returns. This was an addendum quietly slipped into widely criticized agreement creating a $1.7 billion fund to compensate president's allies. So, Justice Department quietly added a provision barring the IRS from auditing DT's tax returns on Tuesday, amending a wildly criticized agreement that creates a secretive and loosely controlled $1776 billion fund to compensate allies of the president. Are you kidding me? 1776?
Yeah, very, very, very funny.
One would get the impression that some things are done just to get us mad, to get us irritated, to get us agitated. When they start throwing these numbers out there,
Something, I think it's called gaslighting.
Is that what you call it?
Something like that.
Gaslighting. Oh, I'm glad you're up on that. So, this was curious to say the least. The White House says strategic Bitcoin reserve announcement is imminent. The White House is on the verge of a formal announcement on the U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve. You remember that whole thing? And the official leading the charge says the hard part is done. How's that Melania coin working out for everybody out there? When we see that, again, if you get into power, and it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, it seems like you have a windfall. even if your salary is maybe $150,000, $200,000, which is, many, many times more than what Cindy and I take in, that still doesn't equate the type of net worths that so many of these politicians have. It's so obvious, right? Bitcoin, it was 120 something. It's 77, I think, right now. I think more people have lost money than have made money on crypto. At the same time, there may come a time when they do get rid of cash, unless we change something, again, force them to change. And all of a sudden we wake up and everything is digital. And at that point, some of the cryptos might not look as bad as they did. Certainly we do not want central bank digital currency. That's like the death knell of freedom.
Anything that's computerized is kind of like a death nail. Again, are we being put in a position where we just have to pick the lesser of two evils again?
It's always been that. So, but what this might mean is that we might have some major economic blip in the road. There's a game of chicken going on between the United States and China and the BRICS nations. Will they purposely self-destruct to introduce something else? Absolutely. Absolutely. So you have the largest wildfire in Santa Rosa Island history, burns more than 14,600 acres, threatening rare Torrey pines in California. These wildfires, the floods. This is a bad situation, and we've actually seen worse in some years, but it seems to be that most of the worst of anything has been since 2017 when it comes to these quote unquote natural disasters. Sandy Fire forces evacuations, school closures in Ventura County, California. More than 10,000 homes, by the way, mandatory evacuations. Oh, that's horrible. That just so sucks. Having to leave everything behind and you're just praying that everything is okay.
Mm-hmm. It is. I just really couldn't imagine, what about people's chickens? We have chickens now. It's different if you have to leave farm animals behind. And thank you so much, Bob Hawk. We appreciate that. Much appreciation for you both, and we appreciate you too. Thanks, you guys, for all of your support and helping us get these videos out. Basically, you are our sponsors. Thank you.
Yeah, weird weather today here too, pretty ominous, as thunder rolls in the background. We had all sorts of tornadoes. As you see here, PDS tornado watch followed by 19 tornado reports. Large hail, damaging winds across the central U.S. Yeah, it was a pretty rough day on top of 25 tornadoes the day before across 4 states. Iowa, Nebraska got quite a bit of damage, but also Kansas, Minnesota, and Florida. This is just, the never-ending story. I do not believe that our natural weather is anything like what we see. I really don't think so.
No, I think our natural weather is, we don't have natural weather. We just don't. I think there's too many variables out there now when it comes to any kind of modern technology with all the HAARP, the CERN. There's too many things going on to say that we have, any kind of natural weather at all, in my humble opinion.
I like that one, Susan. Was Kevin Warsh brought in as the Fed chief to wash the currency and bring in CBDC. Yeah, it really does seem to be disintegrating and accelerating. I really do think these are the toughest years that we are basically in right now. I hope that we will get an easing. I wonder what it's going to be in 2030 like. Hopefully everything will be in the rear view mirror. But I do think we will have to face some real earth changes, because there's going to be things that need to be cleaned up when it comes to the toxic environment. Heavy rainfall triggers rescues and flood disruptions, southeast Queensland, Australia. Again, this is everywhere. Australia, I don't believe that all that desert is natural. I feel that, that was also an area that has seen, again, tremendously unnatural events transpire. And when you think about how big this area is and how few people are in it, and again, so much of it really is desert. Very, very challenging environment. But it's interesting, too, the Lemuria and Mu energies of people that live in Australia. You guys are just different in a really nice way.
Yeah, very, very different in a nice way.
Yeah, we have a lot of really good friends from Australia. Late season snowstorm shuts down I-80. This is in Wyoming. Again, anything that's unusual with the weather is likely to happen at this point in time. And it also is a lot of things, like just think about that when you just start getting the crops going and all of a sudden you have an unusual cold spell. That sucks. Again, when you have so much aluminum, barium, and other stuff coming out of the skies every day too, that can affect the health of all the plants out there as well. And we have at least 21 dead after extreme rainfall hit southern and central China. Massive fires over in China. They had that 5.2, which was actually very deadly and took down, this was an earthquake we were talking about, took down quite a few buildings. It seemed really unusual. Let's just take a look at what we have currently going on. The biggest quake right now is down here in South America to 5.8 in Peru, 56.5 kilometers deep. So 5.8 is the biggest, followed by a 5.7. This is Vanuatu. And then everything else is a 5 or lower. So that's actually pretty quiet. There was this one New Jersey quake right in the middle of a park out here, as you could see. We keep getting these weird quakes in New Jersey. 5 kilometers west of Gladstone, New Jersey. Curious, to say the least, but otherwise at the moment, it doesn't really seem like there's anything unusual going on earthquake-wise. How about this, guys? Have you seen this Urbano Monte map? This is really curious because what do you see with this map? Again, this is from 1587, I want to say. Well, one thing that you get hit with right here is dead center of the map, because we're looking at this from the center is the North Pole. I think what they've done is they've just literally, they don't want to show Santa's workshop. That's what it is. That's why they've eliminated the land at the center of the Arctic Circle. Because really, when you look at it at this point in time and earlier, all the maps showed that land up there at the Arctic Circle. And it was even described in a very, very famous work of literature, is how they say it, as if it was just a fairy tale, no truth to it. That there was 4 different rivers flowing this way, and the water was being pulled up there to go inside the earth. And when we think about the Earth's energy field, it's a torus. Could it be that there is a hollow Earth? Again, we've delved into that in different videos, and I think there is something to it. There's also a black rock on some of the maps, right there, dead center, that is a magnetic black rock. What if this is technology by some extraterrestrials? And somebody else had described the term extraterrestrials, meaning they're terrestrials, but they're just extra ones we don't know about on planet Earth. Yeah, it could be from a different location. Again, we believe that there are countless worlds, multiple many different dimensions, maybe infinite number of dimensions. And yeah, there are other planets out there too. But yeah, a lot of the ones that we see may be beings that have been here as long as we have. But this is fascinating, because a lot of the legends, when they talk about what we would say as the Norse gods, it's like they emerged from north. They came out of the north to us. Well, if there's a major entranceway into the earth, maybe they did just that.
And I see this point as very much the heart chakra of Earth, and I see the water and I see the tides, how the tides come in and out. I don't think that that's, necessarily the moon. What I see more is like the Earth is breathing and the water is pulling in and pulling out,
So think of like
pulling in,
pumping.
pulling out. It's a heart, yeah, and I think I see the water as like Earth's blood in a way, and it's the heart pumping.
That's a really cool analogy. Again, the earth is a living being. It is a single consciousness in and of itself, made up of trillions, quadrillions of individuated consciousnesses.
Indeed.
And this is the way the world and our reality really is. This is, again, part of understanding what most humans don't, and that's how do we get here? What's the purpose? Look at some of these other things that are out here. Oh, the other big thing to note. What's the other thing besides the land right here? The land in the Arctic. There's land all the way encircling the entire world that we know. And so if there's a landmass that's bigger than the entire world we know of, at the bottom, encircling our entire world, then something has really been hidden from us.
Yeah, there's something going on here.
There absolutely is. Absolutely. The other thing you see in here, too, is a lot of unusual creatures. And one thing, you got unicorns, and you have mer people all over the place. Here's a griffin. There's a griffin here. There's some beings, I don't know if they're swimming on a crocodile or if that's a rock. But there's a lot of mythical. The creatures are interesting. I mean, you're going to tell me that they're just having fun with the creatures? It's not based on anything that actually is real?
I mean, why would you just blindly just scribble a thing? You don't just blindly draw things. It comes from somewhere.
Yeah, it comes from somewhere. There is absolutely something to base it on. In reality, this was not too far off, relatively speaking. It looks like Florida's a much smaller peninsula in their mind back in these days. Maybe the Gulf of America, back when it was the Gulf of Mexico. And, again, that word, America, too, it's not necessarily Amerigo Vespucci. That's the cover story. Here's another mer type of being or some sort of god. Yeah, no, it existed before. And look at this. This looks like Quetzalcoatl, right? Look at this. It's like a pterodactyl with a person or something in it.
It's like an elephant.
It's carrying an elephant. Holy cow. That's a bird carrying an elephant. Wow.
That's weird. That's so wild. I mean, how you're not even safe if you're an elephant from birds back then.
Yeah, we got sea monsters in there.
I want a sea monster.
See, I mean, is it just all for fun? And then look at this is the Antarctica, I would guess.
Mer people.
Mer people down in Antarctica. There's like an opening over here. Oh my gosh, can you imagine the thrill if you were literally on a boat and you saw an opening that leads to inside of this landmass that encircles all the known world and going into truly unexplored seas for Homo sapiens sapiens? That would be so thrilling. what about this? Because when you think about it, we're not allowed. The average person cannot go to Antarctica. Is this why? These look like dinosaur, reptilian, I don't know.
Dinosaur seahorses. They're dinosaur seahorses.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Well, I'm glad you're familiar with those.
I am. Yeah.
I think that's another unicorn over here. This is just amazing and fun.
It's too bad we can't read the writing.
Yeah.
The writing's really cool. I bet you.
It's
talk about the land.
Yeah, there is more. We can go into this in greater depth. Here's another one. I think one of the first beings we're going to see is really what we would call mer people. I think they're going to introduce the ones that live in the oceans. Would be one of the first ones.
Nah, they're gonna. Trump has been sending out pictures, hanging out with that like 6 or 7 foot alien dude. I think he's wanting to show him off first.
John Murphy says Antarctica is not on the moon map and therefore does not exist. Yeah, that reflection in the moon thing, I've seen that too. So yeah, this is really very, very fun. I mean, at the very least, it's fun. And yeah, I mean, is the author just trying to put in some sort of rationalization for the myths, or just totally tongue-in-cheek? Because that does look like a dinosaur. I forget what the ones were, where it had the spiny back.
Asaurus.
Yeah.
Or something.
And again, we
There's a camel. That looks like an old camel. See? That
yeah.
looks like a camel, kind of.
There's camels here. I don't know what that is.
That's a big rat.
Giant.
Maybe it's one of those things that hop. I forgot. Kangaroo.
Yeah, kangaroo. That's all. And then maybe some giants mixed in there too. Lots of fun stuff. Again, just really interesting to see these old maps. And this thing is, the map area is 9 foot by 9 foot. The total area, they say, is 10 foot square.
And they're telling us it's a stegosaurus. Thanks, you guys.
Oh, okay. Stegosaurus. That's right. So this is the largest early world map. Monty's 10-foot planisphere of 1587. 60-sheet manuscript world map made in 1587 by Urbano Monti. It's been added to the David Rumsey map collection at Stanford University. At 60 foot square, this map or planisphere is the largest known early map of the world. Hand-drawn by Monti in Milan, Italy, and only one other manuscript copy exists. The digitally joined 60-sheet map image below is the first time the map Monti made has been seen as one unified map, as he intended, in the 430 years since it was created. And you can see all the individual sheets and how they're numbered. See? This is actually how they're numbered. So all of these are literally numbered and separate. So then you put it all together. This is just really cool. So it covers the entire known world of the late 16th century. He utilized multiple sources for his representation, including the works of Ptolemy, Mercator, and other contemporary geographers and cartographers. The map is not just a geographical tool, but a universal scientific planisphere, aiming to provide a holistic view of the world. The cultural and historical context, the late 16th century was a period of significant exploration and discovery. His work is a reflection of the era's quest for knowledge and understanding in the world. The use of a north polar projection was relatively rare, but had precedence in earlier works by cartographers like Postel and Mercator. This approach allowed for unique visualization of the world, enhancing the map's appeal as both a scientific and a decorative object. So the map's circular format divided into 60 sections, each meticulously numbered and detailed, contributing to the map's comprehensive coverage of global geography. The map includes illustrative elements like portraits and decorative borders, which add to its aesthetic and informative value. The choice of a north polar projection was innovative and provided a fresh perspective on global geography. It's significant not only for its size and detailed craftsmanship, but also for its ambitious attempt to present a universal view of the world. It reflects the Renaissance spirit of exploration and the desire to understand the complexities of the world. The map was intended to be mounted on a wooden panel and revolve around a central pivot, emphasizing its function as both an educational tool and a decorative piece. So, yeah, this is just pretty wild stuff. Absolutely a lot of fun. Overall, though, the other thing that hits you, too, is the distortion. Look at the size of South America compared to North America, because North America is larger than South America from what they tell us. And yet, when we even look on Google Earth, Africa is larger than North America and also larger than South America. It looks very large here. There is distortion, is what they tell us when you look at Google Earth and you see, Greenland and everything, and Greenland looks abnormally large. It's all distortion, guys. They've just been keeping the truth from us the entire time. But what exactly is the truth?
What is the truth? Have we ever been told the truth? I think the truth is if we heard the truth, it would be so unacceptable because we've been told so many lies.
John Murphy says, moon is a non-material plasma negative electromagnetic image within the first and second gaseous ceiling of the 7 gaseous ceilings beneath the living Earth plasma membrane or sky dome. Well, we picked up that the moon is literally fourth density. That came through the guides, loud and clear. I know what we see on the surface is not the real surface. It's, some sort of hologram, because I've seen it go blank myself personally back in 2017, and I won't forget that. Yes, absolutely. So, real life Jurassic Park, here they go again. De-extinction breakthrough as scientists hatch live chicks from a fully artificial egg. Here you go. Again, humans, there's that movie, was it Sons of Men, I think it was, where women can't get pregnant in the future. I think it was from 2008 or 2006, and it was like now. It was 2026 or something like that in the movie. We're on the way there with everything that's happening with fertility rates, sperm counts, and a lot of DNA issues. But what you have here is, again, what the system's going to propose. You want to have a kid, you got to go and ask permission. And only certain people will be allowed to breed. And even at that, it's going to be an artificial endeavor. This is kind of what they obviously have planned. Scientists have managed to hatch live chicks from a fully artificial egg. This is marking a de-extinction breakthrough that paves the way for resurrecting long-dead species. Experts at Colossal Biosciences, this is a company planning to bring back the woolly mammoth, have created the first ever shell-less incubation system that mirrors the natural egg as much as possible. Team were able to take early bird embryos, place them in an artificial shell, and incubate them for 18 days while they develop. So, if the early bird embryos were already, activated, how much are you really doing? All you're saying is that you could develop life outside the womb. There's a sacredness to the way that, women give birth. It's part of the way the natural process is supposed to go. Again, everything about this system is about replacing the natural with unnatural.
Yes, it's definitely about copying and mimicking.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, they're going to bring back the extinct South Island giant moa. This was a bird that stood almost 12 feet, 12 feet tall and weighed 507 pounds. Here you can see the artificial egg embryo. I thought they had a picture of the bird somewhere. Not that little guy. It's a cute little guy. There you go. That guy, 12 foot tall, 500 pounds. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, got to be careful with that one.
Yeah, I want two. Give me two.
Yeah, right? They'll be cute like our chickens. Yeah. And then we get into this. Here you have some kids.
These things are out like crazy tonight, whatever they are. They will shine their bright light at you and they will sit. There it goes. There it goes. Dude. Whoa. There he goes.
They're being talked about.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like they can recognize when people are looking.
Yeah, it's like they feel the consciousness of other beings. So there's communication. There's a lot of communication there.
They are flashing right at us. What?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
What is this shit? Flashing at.
That was 9 days ago in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Did you pick up any energies on this one?
Well, just that they want to communicate. They're making a point. So whenever something comes this close to you, that's generally your star family coming to tell you, look, we're here. We're here to hang out. We're here. We have your back. We're here. We're here to help. We're here. And usually it comes along with some type of an awakening, an activation of some kind. And, it seems lately there's more and more and more and more showing themselves, which is very encouraging. I think it's helpful, but I think it's more helpful when people know these deliberate moments are for you. They're for you. That's your family. Your family's right there. Your ancestors, those you love, you lost, are not gone. They are here.
Yeah, consciousness just simply assumes a new form. That's really it. Very, very, very interesting time. Rosebud says, my galactic family's here. They're giving me downloads. I was told to keep my mind open. The downloads will blow me away. I am ready. Yeah, absolutely. I could hear the guides so much clearer than ever. It's just getting clearer and clearer and clearer. And sometimes I have to kind of like check myself because it's like you could hear the conversation. This is the way we usually are. It's what we've been brought up with is not normal. It's not natural. This one's from the land down under.
You can hear the plane. There's a plane up there. So there's a pulse to it. There's the craft. Satellite passing it in the background too.
They feel very peaceful, don't they?
Yeah, there is a peaceful energy, and of course they'll say it's just simply Starlink and things like that. They have that excuse now with everything. That's just the reality. It's just Starlink, etc. But there's an awful lot going on, and then there's a lot of stuff that again almost feels too much. That I think people will right off the bat say that's fake, can't be real. But I think there's more and more that is real because it's time. It's just time. They're ready to show themselves. Corbin, Kentucky here. Again, there's been a lot of disclosure already. We've had disclosure. They've told us. We've had so many people, former military personnel, very high places, come straight out and tell you. Again, I think there's extraterrestrials for sure. Interdimensionals, yes. Demonic entities, yes. Angelic entities, yes. Again, it's to me, it's always been all the above. Always all the above. Sources report President Trump has prepared a speech confirming the existence of extraterrestrial life, reportedly as a speech detailing extraterrestrial life in spacecraft, and he's waiting for the right moment to deliver it. We saw this. This was, I think, down in Brazil, wasn't it? I saw something that looked very similar to this, like a light being in Brazil. Again, in certain ages, we encounter really just benevolent beings, like in the Golden Age and most of the Silver Age. It's only the benevolent ones, because the dark ones that constructed, the archonic forces that constructed our dark matrix, they can't reach the frequency. So, we leave them behind as the planet moves up to a higher frequency. Thankfully, we are on the ascending phase.
Indeed.
But at the same time, right now we get everything. There's all sorts of things out there. What do you guys make of this guy? What do you feel with this?
I think he's cold. He needs his breeches and a jacket.
Yeah. His bits and pieces are probably getting frostbite.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, boy. And then we have that famous Rainha Minas Gerais, Brazil incident. Now, there's so much that is, over the years that have been faked. This is coming out, and supposedly this is that actual crash. Now, some people in the comments think it's just total BS, not real. A few others said, nope, it's very real. Just thought we would share and let you guys make your own opinion.
Well, it's just really hard to believe that, these beings from different realms with such high technology, I mean, how could they come all the way to Earth and crash?
Yeah, why do they get all sorts of clumsy and, have all sorts of technological errors? But I think part of the realization is, too, that the real technology that's on planet Earth is way more advanced than what we see. So they are able to shoot down, not with the weapons that we would see, and we know about, but some of the black ops type stuff, the different directed energy weapons and the like, that could could definitely be used to take down some other ships.
The technology that's out there is just, I'm sure it's even beyond our scope of understanding what we have created. Could you imagine what other beings have created that's going to show itself here very soon?
Yeah. Oh, and Thomas Massey, by the way, he's going up for re-election, so we'll see what happens with that. Have you ever noticed that Thomas Massey, it doesn't look the same to me either.
I wanted to giggle. Lily made me giggle. She said, bad drivers everywhere. I agree, Lily. You're right. Yes.
Yeah. Crazy drivers. Here you go. Bob Lazar said there was classified material connected to religions and that aliens view humans as containers for the soul. Well, again, that's the way a lot of the religious systems, philosophical systems view us here, and that's been here the whole time. Amazonian tribes call the gray aliens Mancuna Wabu, or the ant people. I don't know if I would say these are ant people, so that's where the grays that are being utilized by the reptilians, the Draco. They're mostly fabricated. A lot of them are fabricated from, the cows that they cut the organs out of, etc. They use various different DNA they take from different beings to create the grays, those grays. So yeah, those beings I wouldn't say are, you know, they're not the ant people. I don't view them as that.
Oh, I love it. Jeremy of Ohio here. It's not my fault. I didn't read the flight manual back in the 40s. Yes, I crashed a UFO myself in the past. I know you have, Jeremy. Thank you so much, Jeremy. We appreciate it and the humor. And I know there's something literal behind that. Thank you.
Yes, and the Marsh says those grays look like some of the old accounts of fairies. Yeah, absolutely. You know, that always fascinated me. Many years ago, going into, I'm trying to think of that guy's works. He was looking at all the accounts of fairies and like saying, when you see accounts of what they call trooping elves, that's really the grays, the trooping elves. You know, there's many different types of grays too. And thank you so much, Jeremy.
You know, great aliens equals us in the future. I think, yeah, there's definitely something to that. The Pleiadians, I believe many of the Pleiadians and other beings had to leave Earth. I don't think they could stay because of the denseness of the planet right now. But great aliens, there's so many different kinds. And yeah, I do believe there are good ones. I don't think they're all bad. I did have an awakening dream that showed me these little aliens. They were great aliens. They're very friendly. They were very friendly. They looked like grays, but they were very kind. And they were teaching me, you know, they were teaching a world school of how Earth's story. It was really quite amazing.
Yeah, very interesting. 4 alien species have been pulled from crash UFOs, ex-government researcher claims. And we touched on this a little bit, maybe a week ago. Dr. Hal Puthoff, former Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Application Program Advisor. Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Applications Program Advisor. That's a pretty high level person there. And so this is what he was talking about. The mantids, we've had encounters with mantid beings. I literally, my encounter's been all positive with them. I know there's some that say there's mantids that do work for the reptilians, the Draco. But I do think, again, it's kind of the individual. So yeah, there are definitely insectoids, what you would call insectoids. You have the reptilians, many species of grays, many. And then you have the Nords that, really could pass for us. You wouldn't really notice much different.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of information there, and they're individuals just like we are. So they're not. I don't think there's any such thing as all good or all bad of anything. I think any individual can have a separate opinion and a separate belief system. Our insides, we have little subtle ways about us that make us very unique, and we need to extend that to them. They're very unique, so we don't know that all of them are going to be bad and horrible. And I think, even if they are bad and horrible, they're very capable of change, just like we are.
So, wow. We are here at that time when that's all coming out. Now, what do you think about this? Is this some sort of prank? A cloud moving through a parking lot in Virginia. That's kind of weird. It's the reaction of this woman that shows up. So to me, it looks like they just kind of took a little minivan, and somehow blurred it out. But her reaction was fun anyway.
Well, and I have seen these white, solid white things for myself. So, I mean, this one, yeah, it could be made up and something fun, but her reaction speaks loudly. So I've seen these for myself, and I've also seen these in much, much older videos. So I don't think it's always AI, but you never know. Sometimes people enjoy putting together a little skit.
Yeah, it's curious, and then it seems like it starts to lift up.
Chad says a new strain of weed came out of that car.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and then we got these, right? Let's see, aliens landing beyond the Antarctic ice wall. Alien descending from a UFO vehicle now. This reminds me of, Lord Vader landing. Why do you think that we have all that with Star Wars? What are they talking about with Darth Vader, Dark Father, Anakin? Anakim is in the Bible. It's a type of giant. Darth Vader's usually made to look a little bit bigger than typical. And then also Anakim, Anunnaki, Anakin, Skywalker. Well, again, the Elohim, the Anunnaki, those that come from the sky, they land here. So, it would be funny if, like, someday we get a real one that shows up like this and everybody just doesn't believe it's real, but it actually is.
Yeah, I mean, what about that? They've made AI and there's media everywhere. So, unless it really does happen in your yard, you don't know.
Actually, I gotta say, when you look at this energy right here, that does feel pretty Anunnaki. It really does, the energy. So, the representation of it, because they are pretty pump and full of ego.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and they would look like, for everybody to bow and give reverence to the masters that have returned. Very interesting. I don't know. This is security cam footage. Don't know what happened here.
Oh my gosh, that kitty must be happy the owner's home because the tornado came through the house and yeah.
Yep. It was. I don't know what happened, but it wasn't us. It wasn't us. Well, we want to give you guys thanks for joining us. I hope you found this interesting and entertaining. Please do make sure that you have subscribed to all three channels. Evolutionary Energy Arts is the original. EEARTS is now where we're doing most of the lives from, but we do post on both of those regularly. Heart's Home as well. That's more of a spiritual retreat. Everything goes up on Patreon. We want to thank our members both on Patreon and also with YouTube membership for your support. We couldn't do it without you guys. We, again, ourselves, we are healers. We view ourselves as healers. We are life coaches, and we do some Vedic astrology, biofield tuning. Oh, wow. Look at this. Look at this. There's something happening. What's happening to this website? It's evolving.
It is. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And it's going to be a big surprise and it's going to be great. So definitely stay tuned.
Yes, there are changes coming. But yeah, you could always email us, and then you could subscribe to updates. Yes, we are actually going to do a mailing list after 9 years. After 9 years, yes. We are finally getting, a little bit caught up on some things.
Yes, so the surprises will just keep coming, you guys. A lot of things are top secret. We can't talk about it, but do stay tuned. I want to say a huge thank you to Bob, Hawk, and Jeremy. You guys, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We do want to send out our prayers to our friend Carrie. He's going through a very hard time, so please keep him in your heart. Our friend Lori, who has been struggling, some of you might remember me sending out prayers for Lori and Steve. Lori is still struggling, and she's not in a very good position at all. She's in a situation where she can't take care of herself fully, And there's problems with insurance and, as always, problems with money to get her the appropriate care. So, it's the death care system. She's in a death care system, and that's really, really frustrating because she's just not getting proper care. Like her loved ones are coming in and having to do things like, bathe her, take care of her, and do things for her that should have been done. And there's not much anyone can do at the moment. So please send her your best wishes and prayers that they get her in a better situation, or that she starts to be able to maybe hopefully care for herself. So here's some dings, you guys. Hold on. You guys are amazing. Source bless and namaste.
Loka samasta suki no bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my own thoughts, actions, words, and deeds contribute to that happiness and your freedom. Thank you guys so much. We couldn't do it without you guys, and we'll hopefully see you guys tomorrow. Same bat channel. Much love. Namaste.